I miss my ex. So, in order to not go too crazy with feelings and emotions, I have to write poetry. That's the most real preamble that I have for you at the moment, unfortunately. The title of this poem is called I Hope That Heaven is Understanding. The notion is kind of funny because initially, when I wrote the first draft, it had 666 words, and I said to myself, oh no, the devil is in the detail of heaven. How did this happen? But um, hopefully, I don't become a little emotional during this. And yeah, if there is a heaven, let it not be a courtroom. Let there be no velvet rope of last breath repentance, no loophole carved into mercy, where a lifetime of harm is rinsed clean by a whispering apology, timed with a failing pulse. Where a lifetime of harm is rinsed clean by a whispered apology, timed with a failing pulse. I have never trusted the buzzer beater. It feels like sport, not justice. It feels like spectacle, not repair. If there is a heaven, let it be an education. Not the kind with chalkboards and verdicts, but the kind where vision is returned, where the eyes are finally given the context they were denied on earth, where I am made to see the faces I misread, the silence I mistook for indifference, the hardness I assumed was cruelty when it was armor welded on far too early. Let heaven be a gallery of unlearned faces, masks laid gently on tables, not ripped away, but set down by hands that are tired of holding them. Let me walk those rooms slowly. Let me see how many people were never allowed to be whole in public. How many learned to smile as a language of survival? How many learned anger because grief has no interpreter? How many learned anger because grief had no interpreter? If there is a heaven, let it be fluent in injury. Let it understand the natal positioning of sorrow, how some eyes were born into crosshairs, how some bodies entered the world already annotated by suspicion. Let it show me how hearts were hurt, not by choice but by proximity, by geography. How wanting to look away was itself a wound, because to look away was to abandon oneself. Let heaven show me the unseen labor of restraint, the violence not committed, the bitterness swallowed daily, the love attempted with broken tools, the apology that never learned a grammar, the care that existed only as exhaustion. If there is a heaven, let it not reward performance. Let it not crown those who mastered the optics of goodness while leaving scorched earth behind them. Let mer- Let mercy not be a currency traded at death, but a field wide enough to hold complexity without collapsing into excuse. Understanding is not absolution, seeing is not erasing. Let heaven know the difference, because I don't. If there is a heaven, let it be a slow braid, one strand memory, one strand accountability, one strand tenderness. Let them twist without strangling one another. Let the braid be strong enough to carry truth without snapping into judgment. Let it hold the weight of harm and still make room for grief that harm itself was learned. I want a heaven that understands how language fails, how pain often arrives before vocabulary, how some people were injured before they were ever taught how to name injury, how silence is not consent and loudness is not clarity, how some wounds were private because exposure would have meant annihilation. If there is a heaven, let it restore interiority. Let every person finally be seen from the inside out. Let the caricatures dissolve. Let the worst moments stop being summaries. Let the best intentions stop being alibis. Let the full archive be opened, not for punishment, but for comprehension. I want a heaven where humanity is read generously, but not lazily, where mercy does not mean forgetting, but remembering accurately, where we finally understand why some people could not show their true face without being punished for it, why some learned distortion as a mother tongue. If there is a heaven, let it give us back our eyes, cleaned of fear, cleaned of haste, cleaned of the need to simplify one another in order to survive. Let it be the place where all the hurt that could not be spoken is finally allowed to breathe, where nothing is discredited, where compassion is no longer a skill you must be taught under duress, but a gravity that simply exists. If there is a heaven, let it be understanding. Not because it excuses us, but because it finally sees us as we were always more than allowed to be. If it is a courtroom once again, let it be nothing like the ones we built below. Let the judge be tenderness, not as soft nets. Let the judge be tenderness, not as soft nets, not as softness that forgets, but as a steady hand that refuses spectacle. Let the evidence be love, the bruises that never photographed well, the years that trained a person into a weapon because no one taught them how to be held. Let every testimony include what was done and what was endured. Let harm be named without theater. Let responsibility arrive without shame as its only language. Let the sentence be repair where repair is possible and truth where it is not, and an end to repetition and generational cycles of curses, either way. Let the jury be those we failed to see, not to condemn, but to make sight unavoidable at last. And let the verdict be a door, not a cage, accountability braided with mercy, so even justice learns to touch without turning the touched into stone. Thank you.